101.1 FM and AM 1160. Good morning to you. He is Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi joining us in the studio this morning on this Wednesday. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. It's the beginning of a new year. It's a pretty big day for you and a bunch of your fellow cohorts at the courthouse today, isn't it?
It is a big day. Yeah, we came out this morning and announced that we'll be running. I'll be running for my second term as district attorney here in Indiana County, and I know got the honor of sitting alongside Sheriff Bob Fyock and Randy Dagan-Cobb and Bonnie Dunlap, who also announced their candidacies. And as January rolls around, it's that time of year where we're looking at who's going to be running for various offices and what we can do to continue to help Indiana County.
Yeah. One of the interesting things to me about it is the idea of an off-year election. But how important the so-called off-year or odd-year elections are, because you're not thinking of governor, you're not thinking of representatives at this time or senators. But what you are thinking of are the people who are making the decisions in your own neighborhoods, and the local candidates who are just as or even more important to people's lives as any other candidate for any other office. Those offices are extremely important, and as to who's the best person to be in that job, we don't judge. The voters judge that, but you can't downplay the significance of any election, can you?
Oh, absolutely not. Especially a local election where, as you said, the local elected officials may have more of a close impact on people's lives. And it's really any office. I look at what I do at the district attorney's office. We're not an office that works on an island. We work in partnership with the sheriff's department. We work in conjunction with all of the police departments around the county and the state police, federal authorities. We work with the commissioner's office for funding the projects that we're hoping will have a positive impact on the county. We work with the county auditors. Bonnie Dunlap and the county auditors has done a great job this year. We have been able to use the asset forfeiture laws in Pennsylvania to seize over $200,000 from drug dealers of their illicit gotten gains. And Bonnie helps with making sure we are reporting that correctly to the state and to the federal officials, that money's, everything's in line, that money's used to go back to drug prosecution, drug investigations, and to help our police departments. So all of the offices together work in conjunction to help one another towards that common goal of creating the best Indiana County we can have.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about this morning, we have a legal expert from Fox coming on with us later this morning, and he'll be talking about an Oregon Supreme Court ruling that criminal convictions from non-unanimous juries can be voided. Every state has its own set of laws and its own standards by which people are convicted of crimes. When you read things about that happen across the nation in some other jurisdiction, some other state, and you watch the way the legal arguments are going back and forth, does that? I'm sure that interests you, but does it help you to sort of frame what it is that you do here in Indiana County?
Well, it certainly does. We may see a law or a case such as that Oregon case that may have nothing to do with Pennsylvania. So in Pennsylvania, juries have to be unanimous. So that case won't have much of an effect here. But years ago in North Dakota, there was a case that went up to the Supreme Court, and it affected how DUI laws were prosecuted in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So we're always trying to see what's going on around other counties in Pennsylvania, around other states and other courts, to make sure that we're in compliance with the U.S. Constitution and U.S. federal law, but also see what can we do better. If we sit on our hands and just say, hey, we're doing great things so we don't have to worry about improving, we're going to become stale. So it's very important to look around to other jurisdictions and other courts to see what is it we can tweak, what is it we can improve. And I believe through that constant improvement and that constant motive of trying to be the best, we're going to find the best programs. Years ago, I learned that, I may be smart, this other person may be smart. There's a lot of smart people in the world. And if we can take the ideas that are already working and already proven, we don't have to recreate the wheel. So that's what we try to do, is pick and choose those programs and those arguments from around the country to best serve our county.
I'm glad you brought up a DUI case because I wanted to ask you about that. We've talked about this topic before. One of the difficulties in DUI cases now is with the prevalence of drugs and with legalized medical marijuana in Pennsylvania and across the nation, again, out of our jurisdiction, but still it's under consideration in a lot of states, and maybe even this one, recreational marijuana. The difficulty of drunken driving convictions and the tests that are available to determine whether somebody is under the influence, especially with marijuana remaining in the system or the THC remaining in the system for so long after someone has used marijuana. From a prosecutor's standpoint, there's probably a lot of ground to cover before you get to something that's really clear and solid in that avenue, isn't there?
Oh, there is. I mean, we have the test for alcohol, and they've been standardized for years, and that's kind of the easy item to pick up on. But as you're using, especially with the increased use of medical marijuana and other drugs, I'd say about half of our DUIs anymore are drug related, at least in some manner, even if it's a mixture of drugs and alcohol. But our police officers are trained to pick up on the different signs of different drugs. When they're doing their field sobriety tests, they're looking for specific body reactions that will indicate whether it's a depressant drug, whether it's an opioid, whatever type of drug it is. One of the hard issues that we're seeing, especially with regards to the medical marijuana, is individuals who use medical marijuana are not, I don't believe, properly educated on the fact that that doesn't mean you get to just drive on marijuana because you have a medical marijuana card. Mm-hmm. And we've had many individuals who are pulled over for a DUI-related traffic stop. They're using marijuana, they're impaired, and their response is, well, I have a card, I'm allowed to. And you're not. And I don't believe that message is getting out as people are getting the marijuana cards and going to the dispensaries, that, there's a place that the legislature has seen for the medical marijuana. But that doesn't mean you should be driving. If I go to my doctor's and I'm prescribed some sort of medication where I shouldn't be driving, my doctor is going to say, hey, Bob, don't drive when you're taking this medicine. And I believe that message needs to be clear and reinforced, that just because you have a medical marijuana card, that doesn't mean you can drive with the marijuana in your system. That is still illegal. You'll still be prosecuted for DUI.
The same as driving under the influence of alcohol in that case. It's a legal substance, and you're permitted to go out and drink, but you can't get behind the wheel of a car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
District Attorney Bob Manzi is with us this morning as we look into the new year, 2023. A pretty quiet weekend for you from a new case standpoint, but always there are cases that you're investigating, cases that you're prosecuting, and at the same time you're looking forward to a new year and some of the issues that will come up and do come up before district attorneys. So what are some of the things that are on the immediate and the long-term schedule for you as a DA?
Well, on the immediate schedule is January 9th, so Monday of next week, is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So I'm hoping that all the listeners here today, somehow, some way, next Monday, take time and thank some of our police officers for what they do. I really wish people could see what our police officers do on a regular basis. I think they would be stunned with the various situations they have to address, the calls that they're making, the stress that they endure in their job. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately in the back of every police officer's mind is the possibility of being hurt or being killed. We just had Police Chief Justin McIntyre in Westmoreland County killed and another officer shot just on 2 days into the new year. And that's always something that our police officers face. So I'm hoping that everyone at home takes the time in some way and says thank you to the police officers for our county, because they do a fantastic job for us. You know, long term, we have trials scheduled from now until December of this year. We have the Carriage House murder that happened in the past. We have the Blairsville murder scheduled in April. We have some very serious trials scheduled for trial over the next year that we hope to finish up and gain convictions and stand up for those victims so those victims can close that chapter in their life.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, on the other spectrum, we have the preliminary hearing for the murder of Hayden Gareffa happening Friday of next week. So there's a great deal of energy being placed in the preparations for that hearing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of important cases at different stages in the process, and we have a great team at the district attorney's office. I can't say enough for the men and women that work in that office and the work that they do, standing up for victims and holding people accountable. So we have a lot of trials over the next year that we look to finish up in a positive manner so victims can move on with their lives in a great way.
You know, that's an important point as well. The other day marked the third anniversary of the Bartlebaugh killing, and that case makes its way through court, and I know people get frustrated and a little impatient when a case lasts 3 years, 4 years, 5, however long it takes to bring that case to its conclusion. But in order to get it right, that's the way to go about it, is to make sure that everything is not only handled professionally, but handled in a legally responsible way, that whatever is decided will be the decision that sticks, and you don't spend years and years of appeals. I know that's important to you, too.
That's very important, and I hear the frustration, and I believe people have the right to be frustrated that it takes that long. I get it. But I believe they would be more frustrated if we hustled through a case, got something wrong, and now 2 or 3 years down the road, we have to go back and do it all over again. We have a great panel of judges in our county. They make sure the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. All the attorneys involved are making sure each step of the way is done correctly, because all of our ultimate goal is to get the case done correctly so that we never have to come back and revisit it.
He is Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi. Thanks so much for hustling over here after this morning's event. We appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a great 2023.
All righty. You too. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.